Where's your husband been staying?
Oh, at my house.
Okay.
It's a lovely situation.
So he just isn't home? He hasn't come home yet? Okay.
The situation between Lindsay and Robert Shiver has been anything but lovely. Well, now the former housewife is asking the court to help revive her modeling career. The former pageant queen accused of ordering a hit on her estranged husband, Robert, is set to go to trial in March for those alleged crimes in the Bahamas. But in the meantime, she's asking the court if she can have her, what she says is her embarrassing GPS monitor removed so that she can become a social media influencer and model. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Mail, Lindsay Shiver claims to have several job offers and needs the ankle monitor removed before she can start doing that modeling work. She's also requesting to move back to Thomasville, Georgia, where she shared that home with Robert and their children in order to get these job offers. So we're asking, will her job offers and modeling and influencing aspirations influence the court to remove her ankle monitor? Let's bring in our guest. I have with me in the studio comedian and media entrepreneur Rachel LaForce. Joining me remotely, celebrity attorney Ben Chu and retired NYPD and Nassau County Police Lieutenant and the owner of Houndstown, USA, Mike Gould. Good morning to you all. Rachel LaForce, ladies first, please. I want to start with you. Your thoughts?
You know, I'll tell you what, as a content creator, I'm like, keep the ankle bracelet. You know, that's your niche. Everybody's a model, everybody's an influencer. You know, use that niche, wear that ankle bracelet, you know? And we don't know yet if she actually conspired to kill her husband, but I definitely know she's guilty of being high maintenance. You know, this is quite a request. So I'm really interested to see how the judge will take this in, the seriousness versus if you can see the comedic side of it, and really where they're going to land on this, I think is going to be interesting to watch.
Yes, yes, and you're exactly right, Rachel. You're saying what we're all thinking. This is ridiculous. My gosh. Lieutenant Gould, your thoughts on her wanting that monitor off so she can go model?
Yeah. As Rachel said, there is a comedic aspect of this. My first reaction was it's laughable. You know, the discomfort of an ankle bracelet compared to her Gucci shoes really, you know, touches home with me, and I can relate deeply with that. But you know, when I think about this selfishness, she's out on $100,000 bail. She's facing 60 years in a Bahamian prison, and we have American veterans, U.S. veterans, that don't have ankles to complain about. So this is just, on one end it's funny, and on the other end it's really disturbing her narcissism in this. And that's my view of this. It's way out of line.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you, Lieutenant. Ben Chu, you're a legal eagle on the panel. What do you think the judge is going to say if she actually puts all this in a motion and makes the formal request to the court?
Julie, I think it's going to be a hard no, and I don't know that the judge is going to treat it as humorously as we are. And I think that Michael really hit upon it when he talked about the narcissism. I mean, as with Brian Walsh, this is a woman who has children. And that seems not to factor into any of her decisions, as with Brian Walsh. And it's you know, there's a very sad and tragic aspect to this as well.
Right. Oh, Ben, you're so right. I mean, when you think about it, she's lucky she's not in jail, because what's alleged here is an attempted homicide. It's alleged, but that's still the crime that's been charged here. So she's fortunate. Like, love that ankle bracelet. You embrace it. It's good for you. It gives you freedom. So yeah, she's something else. We've got some more information about this. Apparently, these job offers include modeling, influencing work for a fashion boutique. She's saying also that while she tries to hide the embarrassing bracelet as best she can, she has to skip some routines, things like swimming and, you know, go to the beach, things like that. Rachel LaForce, your thoughts on this minor inconvenience and her shot at modeling?
I'll tell you what, my heart goes out to her. I mean, what a tough gig, you know? You don't get the routine of going to the beach. Sweetheart, that's not a routine, okay? That's a privilege, that is a choice. And I will, you know, what we've commented on the narcissistic aspect of it, and that's the part where it's like, you look, there's not any sympathy here because we don't have empathy for you. Because you're clearly the person's like, well, I deserve to be at the front of the line. I deserve to be, this is what happens, my friend, you know? Whether you did it or not, regardless of like, this is what happens, and you were a part of the process, you get to wear the bracelet, congratulations. You know,
there's your prize. Right. I mean, I think her conditional release really isn't bad. You know, she can travel in the United States and has, obviously, that's where she is now. She has to keep it on at all times and be at all the court hearings in the Bahamas. She has to stay at her parents' house in Alabama. She's got to stay away from Robert. That's an obvious one, and his home. And she's only permitted in Georgia for divorce or custody matters. So kind of makes me wonder if it's modeling that has her attracted to Georgia or if it's just, you know, being closer to Robert, maybe. Who knows? All right. So I have some quotes from a previous court appearance. This was read by the prosecution. Details some of this case and some of the allegations where she's saying to her co-defendants that she wanted to, quote her word, kill her husband, Robert. After her conditional release, her attorney released this statement saying her defense will look forward to vigorously defending Lindsay because she is innocent. All right, so she allegedly asked her lover to get this hitman, who's like an aspiring rapper, there's that, to kill her husband, Robert. A lot of text messages exchanged that police caught on to. But let's dig in. Is there really enough evidence to prove that she did want this homicide to occur? You know, it's one thing to write something in a text, but in terms of the evidence, what's really there? Ben Chu, I would love to start with you this time on this one. Your thoughts, please.
Well, we talked about this the other week about circumstantial evidence and this distinction sometimes people make between evidence and circumstantial evidence, and I think the circumstantial evidence here is very strong, and it's something that she may want to take the stand to address, to say, sure, I said this, but I didn't mean it. I love my husband, you know, the father of my children, that kind of thing. I think she may, you know, unlike Brian Walsh, I think she may be in a position where she needs to testify.
Right, Ben. That's an excellent point, you know, because if we don't have all the corroborating evidence to support the statement, a statement and a statement alone, as you know, can't really hold water at the end of the day, at least in the United States courts. We know this is a Bahamian court, so a bit different. Thank you for that. Lieutenant Gould, your assessment of the evidence, if you think this plot was really going to go down if it wasn't foiled by the police.
Yeah, Julie, it's interesting. I don't rely heavily on text. I mean, we all have made inappropriate text. I don't drink, but I've seen people drunk text, and a lot of that can be taken out of context. However, I thought there was a confession. So I would be interested in the confession and how that was. She recanted supposedly during the confession both guilt and innocence at the same time, but I haven't been privy to that. But I'd be careful with this. It's circumstantial, and when you're going to sentence somebody to 60 years for conspiring to kill the father of your children, we still have to understand she has a presumption of innocence.
Right. That is important, Lieutenant. Thank you. I have a look at some testimony from hubby Robert, ex-hubby Robert Shiver, during a previous court hearing. When the judge asked him about his concerns, he said, quote, the physical and mental safety for my kids and myself, I'm thankful to be alive. He said, after reviewing the indictment, this was a situation close to happening. I'm concerned for the safety of myself. So he believes he was in danger here. Rachel LaForce, tell us what you think about this and what's going to happen when the trial goes next year.
It'll be something to watch, that I know.
Yes.
I don't know, you know, it's so hard sometimes because, again, what is our intent when we say something? And I know if I was held in a court of even, you know, X or TikTok for anything that I have said,
right.
I would also probably be going, well, they don't know how much I really
You
said
be
that.
calling Ben Chu.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly right. I've got your number. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. But I think that certainly when anyone, and I know it's different when it's a woman saying that she felt unsafe versus a man, and that's something to consider. But I think it's definitely something that we need to take a look at and really think about what are the implications behind that. But it's going to be interesting to watch.
Right. You know, and I love that point you just made. That's maybe a perfect point to end on because, you know, we were just discussing, you know, the Walsh case. So like you said, Ben, you know, where it's a man and he allegedly killed his wife, and you usually see things that way most often. I'm not saying that spouses that are female don't commit homicides. They do. We've seen it. But it's statistics show it's more often the men. So this is interesting that you hope that doesn't work to his disadvantage here. We're going to leave it here. We're going to follow her petition. We're going to see what happens when the judge receives this and reads it, and we'll see what kind of order or denial follows. Been a great discussion with you all. Rachel LaForce, Ben Chu, Lieutenant Mike Gould. Thank you all so very much.